Probably a lot and not much at the same time. I was never actually a heavy metal kid. Everybody thinks I was a heavy metal kid. I was actually like a punk rocker, and I rediscovered metal in my late 20s, and that's when everything I did started having heavy metal stuff in it.
Yeah.
It's a lot about me and a lot about Charles as well. There's a lot of us that goes into those characters, and every character, there's different aspects of me, there's different aspects of Charles, there's different aspects of Gary.
Yeah.
I always like to think that I'm kind of recasting my life, like I'm living vicariously through Todd and his adventures. He's the high school me that I would have wanted to be, and having the adventures that I would have wanted to have.
Excellent.
So yeah, I think most of my life is based on just how frustrated I was in high school that it just wasn't as interesting as I wanted it to be, and it's been a lifelong mission ever since to make high school more interesting. I guess the Hollywood model and the current model in Canada of the writer's room is that you have somebody who's either a showrunner or a head writer who brings a bunch of writers together. They talk about like the overall, and then when things need to start getting on paper, they're worked on as a room, but somebody goes off and works on something, and so the head writer / showrunner is really there to keep a continuity, so that while one writer's off writing an outline, nothing's stopping for that writer to finish that. So if somebody's off, the room keeps working on stuff. The writer comes back with the outline, everybody discusses it. So we did that, but over 7 years, it was really just me and Charles in Charles's kitchen, as he would chain smoke, and I would just sit there typing out all of our notes. And most of the time, we were just talking about how our careers were going nowhere. But every now and then, we'd actually get down to work, and then we would write different scripts, and then we would sit down with Anthony and Andrew, and we'd roundtable them. And through those conversations, you get new ideas, things get put together. We ended up bringing on a really experienced writer, Gary Campbell, who also writes for Less Than Kind here in Winnipeg. And he came on, and he was really great to work with, and we learned a lot from him, especially in comedy. He's really good. He comes from a sketch comedy background, so everything's really like set up, payoff, and delivery. So we learned a lot from that, and I think the sense of humor really started to get brought up a notch because of Gary's involvement. But he was a very, very busy guy, so we would have a lot of time with him, but we'd have more time with just me and Charles working this out. One of the benefits of being in development for 7 years is that we learned how to write in those 7 years. And when we got greenlit, it's like, all right, time to put a writer's room together. And so Charles and I moved from his kitchen into a boardroom, but it was still just me and Charles. Gary was show running the Ron James show at the time. It was interesting because all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, we're now professionals doing this, but it's the same thing. So our experience as a writer's room, it's interesting because we, it's really what we've made out of it. Neither of us have really worked in anybody else's show at this point. So it's really all anecdotal how their rooms work to us, and just from what we've read and what we've heard. Our show's really unique that we've really only worked on this show in a lot of ways. Like, we've pitched other shows, but nothing has ever gone as far as Todd for us. Yeah, stick to it. Always just keep writing, keep just working on your craft, but also probably more importantly than anything else, just get out there and start meeting people, because it is a industry that's based on relationships. And it's not that it's like it's like an elite system with closed doors. It's just that it is a very small industry, and people, because there's so much at risk, you want to work with people who you trust, and it's really hard to trust people you don't know, so you have to get to know them. And for me, I had like many years starting off being terrified of going to social events, industry functions. I didn't know how to say hi to people. I didn't know how to pitch myself, and there was a lot of like awkward me trying to introduce myself moments. But after a while, you just get to a point where you start realizing that you're no longer trying to network, you're just actually hanging out with your friends, and you start realizing that your friends actually hold really great positions in different companies that might be able to get you further. And I think I'm making it sound really terrible and all very like, using your friends. That's not the point. No. The point is that, you just have to get comfortable with the people in the industry and get them to know you. And, people generally want to help other people out. And if you're working on a certain type of show, somebody might go, hey, you know what, I know somebody who like would be a great partner for you on this, or a great producer. They're really into this too. Yeah. And that's how the whole ball gets rolling and how everything works. That's a really good question. Our show plays a little bit with time, and we're not very strict about things. Our students are somewhere between the ages of 15 and 18. We're never really that specific about it. The only dates that we really say are dates that are specific to the episodes. Like the only time you'll have a specific date referenced is it's a year anniversary from when Jenny's dad disappears. Don't know what month it is, don't know what point they are in the school year. And that's been a real deliberate thing for us. You know? And there's always that question of like, how long are our students going to be in high school? How long are we going to be able to do that? Because it's a high school show. And I mean, a lot of shows, it just dies once they get out of high school. And Degrassi's an interesting case because Degrassi's more about the school than it's about the student. Well, it's about the students, but it's about the students in the school. So when students graduate, for a while they were following, they were doing the high school and also college. But now it's just back in the high school again. And our show isn't about the high school; it's about Todd and his friends. So it's always interesting for us to see where that's going to go. And we always get these discussions where with me, I'm like, we gotta graduate them this year. And one of my producers is like, no, we've got to keep them there for 7 years. Like, nobody's in high school for 7 years. So it's interesting. I mean, we're lucky enough to have like magic in our show, so we can get away with a lot. And I have a sneaking suspicion that at some point, if things keep going the way they're going, the students are going to realize that they've been in high school for a lot longer than they should have been, and it might have something to do with the book. So.